Alright, so I'm out in Nullsec here in SNEC territory, and what we're going to be going over is some ways to use the narrow scanner, not just for hunting, but also to protect yourself going from gate to gate in a defensive manner. I'm going to set my bubble up here as I launch that narrow scanner, and we're going to open up and see what it looks like, see if we can catch. Nope, he's right here. Okay, no, this is a big snake. This is a cobra. All right, hey, buddy, hey, be careful. Okay, I don't want to attack you. Nope, we're just doing a scanning guide here. Let's turn off that bubble real quick. Maybe we should run away. Oh, my God. Okay, 2 webs, scram. Okay, I just wanted to do a scanning guide. Hello pilots, and welcome back to another Eve Echoes video. Today I'm going to go over how to use the narrow resonance scanner and how to protect yourself not only defensively but also hunting targets down, what to look for and what to ignore. So let's start off by looking at the module itself. On the in-game market, you can come down here to mid-slot items, scroll all the way to the bottom, close to the bottom, space detection modules, and it's going to be under narrow resonance scanner. So here are all the options that we have to choose from. Now, one of the reasons why it took me so long to get this video out is because I thought that the Storm Chaser and Moon Chaser narrow scanners were going to make the old ones completely irrelevant. Because if you scroll down here to the description, especially on the Storm Chaser, you can see on the bottom there, this module can receive and ignore signals from ships and capsuleers in the same fleet, corp, alliance, and it automatically analyzes, identifies, and ignores all structures. And this is absolutely perfect if you're going to be out there hunting targets out in nullsec or lowsec, because you're going to completely ignore all those capsuleer structures, all those stations. Unfortunately, it's extremely expensive on the market. Almost 5 billion just for one, and keep in mind this is a droppable mod. So if you do die, it could drop and you could be out 5 billion in ISK. The case is also going to be the same if we back out here and look at the Moon Chaser narrow scanner, although it does one thing a little bit different. You can see it's still almost 3 billion on the market, still a very risky mod to carry and possibly lose. And if we go down to the item description, the only thing it actually is going to ignore now are the ships from your fleet, capsuleers, corp, and alliance. Now this could actually be a very good module if you're trying to find an enemy that's in your own personal territory, because you're not going to scan down any of your friends in your space, anybody in your fleet, your corp, or your alliance. So it allows you to pinpoint that enemy that's in your system. However, what I'm going to be going over today is going to be the MK9 and the Explorer narrow resonance scanner. Now, both of them do the same exact thing. However, the MK9 is much cheaper than the Explorer. Now, the difference between these and the Storm Chaser and the Moon Chaser are going to be it's going to scan down every signal that's in that system that you scan. So structures, pilots, bases, add-ons to bases, citadels, etc. And I have an MK9 fit to my Fiend right now, so we'll open that up and take a look at the stats and break it down exactly what it does and what each description means for the stats. Okay, so if we click on the mod here, scroll down a little bit, we can see there is minimum scan radius and scan radius. And for those looking for a comparison on what their minimum scan radius is compared to mine, keep in mind I have 555 in space exploration. So the higher skill you have, the lower you're going to be able to get those numbers down on minimum and total scan radius. So what's the difference? Let's start with minimum scan radius. This is going to be the size of the ship or signal that you're able to scan down at the smallest size. So anything underneath, for example me, anything underneath 138 meters, I'm not going to see on my scan results whatsoever. For everything else in the system that is 138 or higher, I am going to get a scan result for that. Now for the actual scan radius that you see on the bottom there, 268 meters, what that means is anything that's underneath that is going to get a notification when I scan it. Anything over 268 is not going to know that I scanned it all. Now for the longest time, I thought that scan radius meant your targeting signature radius. So you see that 104 on the top, I thought that that's what my ship gave off. That's not the case. What you're actually looking for is the source radius. So my ship, this Fiend, has a source radius of 246. If we go back and compare that to the stats that I have on my scanner, we can get a good idea of what a result would be for another player if they scan me with similar skill and similar equipment. So the 246 is above the minimum scan radius, so they will scan me down. However, 246 is below the scan radius itself, so I will get a notification if a player with similar skill and the MK9 tries to scan me. I'll get a red notification knowing that they are looking for me. So those are the numbers that you're going to get, or that I'm going to see with an MK9. Let's equip the Explorer Narrow Scanner and see how those numbers change. Okay, there it is, Explorer Narrow Scanner. Let's go ahead and equip that. And before we take a look at the numbers, I just want to show you that this is going to be a significantly higher price than the MK9, but it's going to make a huge difference in your hunting and staying safe capabilities, being able to lower those scan radius numbers. Let's take a look at what our new adjusted numbers are here. Okay, new minimum scan radius is 117 meters, so much better to try and find smaller ships. And our new scan radius is 196 meters. So now using the Explorer Narrow Resonance Scanner, if somebody was able to scan me, I wouldn't get a notification because that 196 is below my source radius of 246. This is going to make a huge difference, not just for hunting, but also for protecting yourself. Because if we go back into the market, we can check out some of the cruisers that you're likely going to want to scan down for safety reasons. If we open up the cruisers tab here and go to the heavy interdiction cruisers, let's take a look at the source radius of some common gate camp cruisers. One that's very common is going to be the Mauler interdictor. If we go down all the way into the bottom of its stats here, you can see source radius at 234. So that's very important to get your source radius below that 234 so that if he is running a gate camp on the gate in front of you, he's not going to even get a notification that you're scanning and knowing he's there. Very similar situation with the thorax interdictor, also 246 meters on the source radius. And even on one of the very small interdiction cruisers, the Bellicose interdictor, it is going to have a smaller source radius, but it's still 225. So we still aren't going to give them a heads up that we're scanning down the system and hunting. The other thing I wanted to note is some of the interdictors that are destroyers that set bubbles are going to have a smaller source radius as well. So if you take a look at the Coercer 2 interdictor here, you scroll down, it's a 138 source radius. So that just barely makes my narrow scanner for the MK9, but that's only with 5.5 skills. So if I didn't have 5.5 skills, I wouldn't even be able to detect that Coercer at the next gate. But even with my max skills and using an Explorer mod, I still am going to give him a notification that I'm coming, that I'm looking for a target, and he's going to know that I'm hunting, not just passing through. Another thing to consider is the size of the faction frigates. Those are usually going to be sitting around waiting for you to pop through, and they're going to have very fast lock-on speed. If we go into here for the Dramiel for Existence, his source radius is going to be 113 meters. So not only is he going to get a notification, but you probably won't even see him as a scan result for you to know that he's there waiting for you. So besides skills, what are some other ways that we can lower those two scan radius numbers? Well, the first way is going to be go into your engineering rigs under electronic rigs, and you'll see the gravity capacitor rigs. Equipping these are going to lower your minimum scan radius and your overall scan radius. So if you did, for example, want to be able to scan down frigates, you would equip one of these in your 1, 2, maybe even 3 of these in your engineering slots in order to find the small targets that happen to be hunting. You usually find these for pretty cheap on the market, even the level 3 ones, because most people don't use them to lower their scan numbers. They'd rather equip other things for their ship in their engineering slots. But it is an option for you if you want to look for it. The other option is using one of the cruisers that have a bonus to exploration. A good example of this is the Stratios, the heavy faction cruiser Stratios. If you scroll down into its stats here on the bottom, you'll see a bonus to narrow resonance scanner scan radius. This will increase your minimum scan radius and your overall scan radius and lower those numbers. And it's a good reason why people will fly the Stratios as a hunter, so they can find smaller targets and be detected less often. Alright, so we have our narrow resonance scanner equipped to our ship. What's the next thing that we're going to need before we undock is going to be fuel. These scanners use fuel, and one of the ways you can get it is from the market. So if you go down, and even if I'm just going to go ahead and search for plasmoids, because that's the most common fuel that I use. It's a little more expensive than something like liquid ooze or heavy water, but for me, it's just simplified. I can usually buy about 2,000 of it, fill my ship up, and not have to worry about running out of fuel for my scanning hunting needs. If I was going to use a ship with a cloaking device, I'd probably want to maximize my fuel on my ship, just because the cloaking device does now use fuel as well, and because we would be pulling from two sources, we wouldn't want to run out. But for the Fiend here, we can go in, just click on the fuel that's in your ship and hit refuel, and it'll go into your fuel category. You can see I'm already pretty full there, so we'll send the rest of those plasmoids back to my inventory for later. All right, so now we got everything we need. Let's go ahead and start a little bit of scanning and take you through some of the basics. We'll start out in highsec, just to go over some examples of how to scan. Okay, we are in highsec here. We can see that narrow scanner mod on our bar there. Let's go ahead and click it, and it's going to scan the system that we're in for targets. Once the scan is complete, you're going to see that green message appear on the left-hand side. You can click it for a shortcut to get in there, or you can also go into your star charts and open it up that way. On the right-hand side there, you see that little scan result, and it'll give you all 4 of the results that we scanned down for this system. So we're going to pick one of these targets. Let's go with the asteroid belt, and we're going to hit Analyze Signal Sources. That's going to allow us to scan down this target and see what it is that we're picking up. Okay, that's going to bring up a new screen here, which is basically a little mini game. It's going to show us that we need to exclude 2 signals in order to crack this code. You're basically going to want to just try and match up the puzzle as much as you can to get those signals and get your result. Now that we've got our result of a retriever, we can go ahead and warp to it at any distance we want from 0 to 100. For this example, I'll just pick, I don't know, about 20, and we'll warp in and see where we find him. And there you go. There's our little retriever buddy. Everybody say hi to the highsec retriever. Ah. Very good. All right. Yeah, so that's our first target. Just a simple retriever. You can notice that it's a smaller ship, so there was 2 signals there. But let's try opening up our scan and getting a new result. I'll hit scan one more time since things seem to have changed in local a little bit. And we'll wait for the timer to go down on that. It takes a few seconds, but then you'll see the message pop up right there. Go ahead and click on it, go over to the combat side, and we'll see the new scan results. So this signal is going to be 1 noise signal, so we only have to match 1 puzzle with our skills. Much easier than matching 2 or 3. And after you match your little puzzle here, you can see we've scanned down 3 targets at this 1 signal. Now, the reason why this was 1 signal and not 2 is because we have a large battleship here, and it's going to ping off of the highest signal in that area. So we were able to scan down the Vexor Trainer and the Mauler for a lot less effort because that Megathron Striker was there. Let's open up our scan results one more time and choose one of the other signals. Okay, so this one is a 2 noise signal here, so we're going to have to try and do this puzzle. And there's no real rhyme or reason. I just try to match it as best I can, and sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed. We'll go over signal load a little bit after this scan. Okay, so right there you can see our scan target has left the area of the initial scan. So if your target flies away before you complete that minigame, it's going to come up as no results found. Now, when you use the scanner and you're not able to solve that puzzle, you're going to maximize or max out your signal load, and it's going to block you from scanning again. So let's give you an example right here of something like that. We'll pick this signal here. We'll go to Analyze, and I'm just going to overload it right here. On the bottom, you'll see that signal load 0 out of 90. That's how many attempts you're going to get. Each attempt takes about 10 out of 90. So it looks like I'm going to get 9 attempts to solve this puzzle. If I can't solve it, with my skills, of course, I'm 555. You'll get more attempts the higher skill you have. But if you can't solve it before you run out and overload your signal, it's going to block you out. So let's overload it right here and see the message it brings up. Right there, okay? Cannot analyze. So that's going to lock you out from scanning that specific signal for about 3 minutes. Now, this can be worked around by going and scanning down another signal that's in that system. Those will not be blocked. Just that specific signal that you tried to decode will be locked out to you for 3 minutes. Even if you go ahead and do a whole new scan, we'll look for it on the list here. Not that one. Nope, that one's fine. Right there. So you see resets after another 145 seconds. So even if you activate your narrow scanner again, you're still going to be locked out from that specific source for 3 minutes. Since we're locked out, we can either scan down other signals or we can just move on to the next system. For now, let's just move on to lowsec and see what we can find out there, because it's a little bit different than scanning out highsec. So now that we're in lowsec, what's different between lowsec and highsec? And the difference is going to be that in lowsec, you're going to start to see capsuleer outposts or personal bases of other players that can be scanned down as well. So right here you can see there's nobody in the system, nobody in local, but I do have a scan result with one signal. We're going to go ahead and complete this puzzle and you'll see capsuleer outpost. Just like if you've scanned down a ship, you can warp to this target at 0 or 100, your choice. And we're going to go ahead and warp to it right here, so you can just see that you warp to it, take that direction from your scan results page. So entering into lowsec, and then when we eventually get into nullsec, that's when you're going to start seeing things mess up with your ability to find players. Capsuleer outposts, citadels, base structures, other things that are going to get in the way of you finding players in that system. But if you're hunting people's personal outposts, you have to use the narrow scanner as well, and you can even do it in lowsec if you want to try and attack people's bases. Once you've warped to the base, you can set yourself a bookmark and come back at a later time. So other than the addition of personal outposts, there's not a whole lot that changes between highsec and lowsec. But let's get into nullsec and see some of the other obstacles that you're going to run into. Okay, so we are entering nullsec here, and you can see right now we've got 2 players on the gate, Macarial and a Tempest fleet issue, but they're not going to be able to stop me from warping away. So we're going to warp to a little bit of a safer area and go over some scanning tips that you can do to try and check out what's in this system. One very important key to when you're going to be hunting or trying to scan defensively is to see how many people are in the system that you're going to be scanning for. So if there's going to be, say, 2 players in the system, and you just saw them on the gate, then you know that you don't have to scan. They were already right there. You can move to the next spot. But since we have 4 here in local, we're going to move to an area that's a little bit safer, maybe undetected, and we'll open up our scanner here to see if the next gate afterwards is going to be safe. Okay, wait for our ship to come to a complete stop. Go ahead and hit our scanner, and we'll wait for our results here on the left-hand side. Okay, so as you can see, there are a few things to choose from. And I think this is where most players get a little bit overwhelmed, not knowing what to scan and what to leave alone. So I'm going to break it down real quick, just so that everybody knows, just based on this picture, what you're looking for. So as a hunter, what you are looking for is the glowing icon on either directly on an asteroid belt or an anomaly. Those are going to be the easiest indicators for you to know if a target is going to be ratting or mining, which are usually going to be your common targets. Signals that are in close proximity to planets are probably going to be structures such as capsuleer outposts, personal citadels, or other add-ons to the citadel that could be giving off a signal, not usually a player themselves. And if you see a glowing signal on one of the gates, you know that it's either a gate camp, a player who is stuck on the gate waiting to go through, someone that's waiting for you, or it could also be a structure as well. So those are the things that can come up. So right now what I see from this scan is an asteroid belt is glowing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and try to scan it down and see if there's a target at that belt. We've got a 1 noise signal puzzle to solve, should be pretty easy. And looks like it's going to be a capsuleer outpost. So a lot of times because of the 3D overlay, we can think a signal is on an asteroid belt or an anomaly, but if you spin your camera around, you can actually see they're a separate entity. The signal was coming off of the belt from a capsuleer outpost, not from the belt itself. So if you spin your camera around a little bit, zoom in, zoom out, you can get a better idea sometimes if the signal is actually coming from a belt, an anomaly, or something close to it that a planet or a capsuleer outpost is triggering. The other thing that can be a little bit tricky is when you go to scan down a gate to move to the next system, you might scan it down here, solve the puzzle to see if there's anybody on there, and get a result of a capsuleer outpost or another add-on, personal base add-on. And you can see right there that the signal was actually coming a little bit off the gate. So if you don't actually scan down the gate itself, sometimes you will miss that signal of the gate camp that's waiting for you. So make sure you hit that gate, spin it around a little bit if you have to make sure you're scanning specifically the gate and not something that's close to it on the 3D plane. But now that we have fully determined that there is nobody on the next gate in front of us, let's go ahead and warp through, and we should be pretty safe. Unless it's going to be a really small ship like a coercer that has a very small signature radius, we should have been able to pick up anybody that was waiting for us. Nope, looks clear. So those other names in local probably docked up and not going to be able to be scanned down. So let's pass through this gate, scan down the next system, and see if we have any results. Checking the local list, we can see one name in the system, so we'll go ahead and activate our narrow scanner. I always like to approach the gate that I'm coming from, just as a precaution. We'll open up our scan results, and we're looking for a signal on an asteroid belt or a cosmic anomaly. As I slowly turn it around here, I can see there's no glowing symbols on either of those two, so we're going to scan down the next gate. And yes, gates can overlap, resulting in you only have to do one unknown signature instead of all three, which is always nice. So we'll finish this puzzle on this unknown signature and see if there's a player or a personal outpost. Nope, capsular outpost. So looks like all three of these gates are going to be clear to warp through for us. So we've now determined that that player in local is either docked up, cloaked up, or too small for us to scan anyway. So we're safe to go through the next system. Okay, we've got a few more names in this local here, so we'll go ahead and approach the gate, activate our harders, and start our scan. Let's click on the little results there, and I'm looking for anomaly or asteroid belt. There's an anomaly right up there at the top, which is a little tricky because it could be next to a planet and could be a base, but I'm going to go ahead and take a shot. And yeah, it's just one of the base add-ons, so nothing big deal there. But sometimes you just have to go through there and you'll get lucky and it'll be somebody on an anomaly, and sometimes it'll just be too close to a planet for your scanner to tell the difference. The good thing though is that our scanner didn't pick up anybody on a gate, so we know we can go to the next gate without worrying about any bubbles or gate camps. And I haven't tested this out because I haven't maxed out my scanning results, but I don't know if you can scan down pods or not. That's something I kind of want to play with later on. We'll try that out. A little bit busier system here. We're going to do the same thing, approach the gate, hit our scanner, turn on our shields, and we'll see if we got 8 results. Let's look for asteroid belt. I see 2 asteroid belts right there. They are close to planets, but we're going to try and solve this puzzle anyway, because a lot of times you want to solve these things as quick as you can before the ship warps away. So we don't have time to do the spinning around and figuring out if it's a good signal or not. If it looks close, go ahead and just check it out real quick. This one is nice because it's an asteroid belt and an inquisitor. So if something is in either one of those and we solve this puzzle, we'll be able to find the ship. A nice little hunting bonus. So let's scan this signal down. Oh, okay, looks like there was a ship there, but they took off. Okay, there's another anomaly that we can scan down. Let's check it. One signal, should be a bigger ship or a capsular outpost. Okay, so now that we know that nothing is on our scanner, we zoom out, check the next gate over. There's no signal coming from that gate, so we should be safe to warp to the next spot and go ahead and jump through. So that's usually what I do. I'll scan down the asteroid belts, scan down the anomalies if I see a glowing icon on there, and then zoom out and check the gates and see if there was any signals on the gates. Hit the next system, rinse, repeat, so on and so forth. And the more you do it, the more you'll get used to the mechanics of it, the quicker you'll be at scanning things down and getting in and out of systems. Because the longer you hang around, the more time they have to tell their alliance that you're in the area and to set up a gate camp for you at the next system jump gate. So feel free to practice until you're really comfortable with doing it quickly in highsec and in lowsec. You can practice in highsec on those AI routers over in Kiba if you want to. One little bonus tip I wanted to point out is that the local list will actually load before you fully enter the next system. So you can sometimes click on the name that's in the system and check out their employment history. If it's something like this, where it just has one corp, they haven't moved around and they haven't been active for a long time, it's probably just a camera, a pod that's going to be sitting on a gate looking and being able to notify people of your presence, but not a ship that you can actually scan down. So sometimes just by checking the employment history, you can avoid yourself having to scan targets down at all, which again will save you a lot of time getting in and out between systems without people being able to respond. And the more time you can save with these little tips, the better off and safer you'll be. So it doesn't look like we have anything on the anomalies or the asteroid belts. We'll go ahead and warp to the next gate. Should be pretty safe. And we'll see if our guess was right. We'll see if there was a pod on that next gate. Yep, my hunch was correct. Looked like this is just going to be a pod sitting and watching the gate for passers through. So that'll save you some time so you don't have to use your scan on every single system that you see someone in local. Let's pass through here, and it looks like we have another name, so we'll check their employment history. And this one looks a little bit more mixed up with a name change and everything. So we are going to scan down this system and see if we can find anything. We'll reapproach the gate, activate our scanner and our hardeners. And okay, so that also will save you time. Because we were watching our local list and we saw that player name disappear from local, we don't have to go into our scan results and scan down the system at all. So watch that local list if there's just one name there before you go into your scan results. And if that name disappears, you don't have to worry about completing the scans. So getting a little bit deeper into the SNEC territory here, we do see 7 people in local. We're going to go ahead and do our normal routine. Getting really quick at doing this now. Open up our scan results, and right there we've got an anomaly that's glowing, and it's not necessarily next to a planet. It looks like an Inquisitor. Let's go ahead and complete this scan. We got 1 signal, so it's a larger ship. Ah, Chimera. Okay, that is not something that we want to warp in on this ship, but it's good intel so that we know that it's in the system. So because there's a Chimera in here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and head out and not hang around too long. There's a lot of names and there's more popping up in local, and it looks like we're getting ready for a chase. I've been hanging around this area for way too long, so let's try to use our scanner to navigate our way out safely and avoid any gate camps or traps. All right, hold on to your seatbelts. It's about to get bumpy here. Let's open up our scanner. We're going to look for a way out, and we're going to scan down gate to gate and try to navigate our way through safely. Okay, it looks like there is 1 signal on this gate right here. Let's go ahead and scan it down. Doesn't look like anything is near it. It's 1 noise signal, so it's something large. Yep, Tempest fleet issue, okay? That's not something that's going to be able to lock us down and prevent us from warping through. So actually I backed out of that 100 warp in range, and I'm just gonna warp right to the gate and go through. I don't really necessarily want to be 100 kilometers off because that is a battleship and they might have good range from a distance. So I'll just go right through the gate, and because there's no bubble there, we scanned down that large ship and nobody else was near him. We should be good to go through. So good news, bad news, there is a bubble, but because it wasn't there when we did our scan results, we know it's set up way too late and we're able to pass right through. Good thing we warped right to the gate and not to 100, because it's going to go right through his bubble and go through this gate unscathed. Although we do have 5 more players in the next system, so yeah, it's going to start to get a little bit chaotic here going from gate to gate. We know we have an interdictor behind us. We know we have a Tempest fleet issue behind us. This is safe. Let's go to the Ansible X real quick, hit our scan before we warp, and we can do our results as we're flying through space. This will also save you some time. Scan down this asteroid belt, see if there's a target here that we can take out quickly. Nope, just a capsular outpost, so I'm going to ignore the rest of this system because we know we have players following us. Now, while I jump around a little bit in this system trying to get to the next space, I wanted to showcase a couple of videos that I have that talk about some tips for scanning as well that I won't be featuring in this video. The top one is going to have an example of how to warp to a target that you've scanned down from over 150 kilometers away, and the bottom one is going to be how to find ships who think that they're safe with their cloak on. I'll put a link for each video in the description for this one, so check it out afterwards if you have a chance. Alright, so that interdiction ship shouldn't have been able to get to the next gate and set up before we're going to start our warp here. We know there's no other results in the system that we want to deal with. Let's just go to the next gate on our path. And hopefully another ship isn't already set up because I didn't scan down that gate. Now we should be good. This is just the Tempest fleet issue here. So because we were just real quick with our warps, we didn't waste a lot of time in the system. We were able to pass through to the next one without being blocked. Let's see what's on the other side. It does look like we're getting a good spike here. We got 8 in local. Okay, doesn't seem like anybody's on the gate. Let's just go straight to the sun. Not worry about anybody. We'll hit our scan again to check the system before we start warping. Looks like an anaconda came in right behind us here. So they are chasing us with some big stuff. Opening up the scan for the next gate. We want to go to the FSW gate. Check our autopilot real quick. Open up our scan results from the star chart. Doesn't look like anybody is ratting or mining. Let's go to that gate. Actually, I think I'm going to go back to the gate that I was coming from. But I'm going to warp in at 100 just to check it out. I don't think they're going to set up a bubble behind me because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to go ahead and warp to 100 on this gate and see where we're going to end up. Ah, yes, so they were going to try and set up a trap for me at the next gate, but because I warped to 100, they're going to be too far away to stop me. So I'm going to have time to turn around and warp off. So now we know that that exit is blocked. We'll look for a new exit to try and find another path. And we'll use our scanner to make sure that the gate is safe. That just shows you that sometimes when you're unsure if there's going to be a gate camp bubble there, it's better to warp in at 100 kilometers and then make your way out to 150 kilometers away from the gate and then warp back to it that way. That way you know you're warping to it safely without running into a bubble. Let's open up our star charts to find a different exit out of this area. We don't want to go back the way we came, but we don't want to go through the gate that we just tried. So let's see what is the other gate that we want to look for. It's the I-7S gate. Let's just go ahead and go out there. They probably don't have a gate camp set up on that one, so we'll go this direction and see if we can lose them. All right, nobody in this local, so we should be good to go ahead and continue on our way. Nope, late load there. We got 4 people. All right, let's go to the corporation outpost, hit our scanner, and just warp off to a safer place to check the next gate. Yeah, we got some people chasing us here. Let's see, the next gate I wanted to go through is... It's not the 2V gate, it's the ZT gate. So we're going to scan that down. We've got 2 noise signals, which means it's a smaller ship, very likely an interdiction ship. Yep, thorax interdictor, so we know he's on that gate. So since he's got a bubble set up here and we've got a little bit of a local spike, they're going to be probably piling on that bubble. I'm going to look for a different path and find my way through a different gate. So rescanning again, I found that the 2V gate was clear, so we're going to go ahead and go through here. It is a little bit of backtracking, but the goal is to get rid of these players that are chasing us. We don't want to get pinned down and trapped between two systems. Okay, looks like this way is clear. Nobody in local. We can just proceed to the next system. Make sure that this is the right path. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be trapped in a little bit of a dead end here. So not really a good way for me to get back to lowsec from this space, but at least I'm safe for now. And that's what you want to make sure of. As long as you're not trapped in a bubble and there's nobody in local, you can always use a filament to get out if you feel a little bit under pressure, or you can take your time, log out, plan a better route, etc. Alright, so it looks like I'm going to try and do a few systems jumping in this little triangle pipe here. That's a dead end up here at the top. I don't want to be trapped up there in a dead end. Let's go to one of these other corner systems down here. And our goal is to try and get them to come at us and pull off the gate. Okay, nope, we got two in local here. So I'm actually going to do something that is kind of risky, but I think that they're all following me through the next gate and they haven't had chance to set up that gate camp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go back through that gate that they have that gate camp on the other side. Yeah, no, we want to get to Jita. My goal is to get back to lowsec. So we're going to kind of pull a U-turn real quick and see if they can stop us. Another +1 here, but they're not going to have time to set up that bubble because I've already started my warp. So we're going to do a quick U-turn and try to lose them. Let's see how it works. All right, nobody on the gate here, and another +1 here. So we are going to be able to get through the gate, and there's only one in the next system. So it looks like I kind of lured them into there to try and trap me going ahead of me, and now I'm just going back the other way. All right, still following me into this system, but we are on the right path. We want to try and get back to lowsec, back to Jita. So we will continue on. All right, going through the ZT gate here, we do have a fiend, but he is a little ways off. Doesn't look like he was quite set up yet, or he was expecting us to come from a different angle. So we should be good to warp through here. Got another player in this next system, and now we know that there's a fiend behind us and a thorax interdictor. So we got to watch for the names in local, see if they pop up, and another Mauler interdictor. Okay, now it's going to get spicy, guys. Let's see if this guy's paying attention. I'm just going to go ahead and double tap towards the next gate. We're going to do our approach, turn on our afterburner, and see if he's paying attention to catch up. I should be able to use Dragon Chant to get back if he does catch me, but it looks like he's not. He is locking us on, and he's got a couple mods on, but he's not quick enough on his speed mod to catch us. So since we were approaching the next gate, we're outside of the bubble, we can warp right away. So that's another gate camp passed up through there, but we do know we have that fiend and more coming from behind him. All right, this system looks pretty good. We are on the right path to Jita, but we know we have players behind us. I don't know if they're going to be able to catch up to us or not, but we do have interdiction ships that are chasing us. So if we do run into another bubble, it's going to be really crazy. We know the names of the interdiction ships because we're watching local. MBHC is the Mauler interdictor. Everly, I believe, was the thorax interdictor, and we have a fiend that's also chasing. So let's pass through here. Let's see what's on the other side of this gate. Yep, there's another fire. Fire is definitely chasing. There's Everly Funk, so we know that that's the thorax interdictor. It's probably going to pop up here, either on this gate or the next one. Okay, not on this gate, so I'm just going to go and try and make my way through and pass right through him. This is going to be a little bit of a risky move, and the only reason why I can do it is because I have a really fast speed with the Afterburner. I have a dragon chant that I can break his webs if I need to. And it's a thorax interdictor, not something a little bit more defensive like a fiend. So remembering what ship was attached to each name can help you as well to try and get through these bubble camps. The Mauler interdictor has entered the system. He's behind us. Thorax interdictor is in front of us. Let's see if we can break through this gate camp and make it out to Jita. Okay, yep, bubble up. Let's see how close we end up to the gate. A little bit of a ways off. We're about 27 kilometers off, which is not great. We'll go ahead and hit jump, turn on our Afterburner, and he is going to lock us down and probably put some webs on us. Let's see if it reduces our speed enough to not be able to get through. Now, I do have two people chasing me, so I don't want to waste too much time, so I'm going to pop that Dragon Chant and go right through the gate. His introduction bubble is up, so I know he's not going to be able to pass through as well. And we've got more players in this system, but I am one jump from lowsec. We got another gate camp on the other side. Okay. Yep, they're trapping us here. We got a MOA interdictor. An ally is landing, but I'm not paying attention to that because I do not want to get trapped with these interdictors. So let's go right back through the gate that we came through. Turn on our Afterburner. Don't want to risk this with an Ashimu and a battleship. We'll come through, and I know that that thorax interdictor was a little bit off the gate because he was trying to stop us, so we might have a clear path to warp away. Yeah, thorax interdictor is here. He's going to set up his bubble probably, but yeah, he's about 60 kilometers away, so we're good to warp away. All right, so we didn't quite make it back to lowsec, and I know we didn't do a whole lot of scanning at the end there, but I wanted to include the chase, just because it was so much fun trying to get through all of these interdiction ships that we're chasing. I got way too much heat on me, so I'm going to go ahead and log off in the middle of space here in a safe location. If you have questions about scanning, go ahead and put them in the comments down below. I will reply to every comment that asks a question, or if you want to get in touch with me directly, hit me up at Gromire on Discord. Until then, I will see you in the next Gromire Games Eve Echoes video.